بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So we're moving on to the next section of Kitabun Nikah. This is called Bab, chapter, Fil Awliya'i wal Akfa. So there's two things that are going to be discussed in this chapter. As we move our way through them, we will discuss them and they will become clearer as we move through. Awliya, people who have wilaya. Wilaya has many meanings, but in a legal sense, it basically means someone who has the right or the authority to compel someone to do something or to enact something. We'll talk about this in more detail, insha'Allah ta'ala. An akfa, this is to do with when you're marrying someone, trying to make sure that there's some sort of equivalence between both sides, between husband and the wife. We'll talk about this inshallah ta'ala, and it will become clear as we move through the text. So let's go through the first mas'ala. The first mas'ala is basically a debate. It's actually quite lengthy when you look into the books of commentary, but it's very neatly presented here. And the conversation is around whether a woman who's free, who is baligha rather, so she's mature, and she's able to make her own decisions, can she get married on her own? So this is the real question, without the need for a wali. This is a very unique position in many ways in the Hanafi school. So let's begin. وَيَنْعَقِدُ نِكَاحُ الْحُرَّةِ, that's the nikah of a free woman, al-aqilati, who has intellectual probity, so she can think for herself, she's not got some sort of mental impairment. Al-balighati, so she's baligha in the sense that she's mature of age. There's no age given, of course, but for us, this is a completely important consideration. We'll see this coming through time and time again in terms of the Hanafi school. So puberty, baligha, bi ridaha, and she's happy to do it. So this is idea of free choice, right? Because essentially you're marrying someone and you should be happy with the person that you're marrying with. وَإِن لَمْ يَعْقِدْ عَلَيْهَا وَلِيٌّ, even if there's no wali present. So this is a type of woman who's free, she's aqira, she's baligha, she can get married without a wali. But let's look at the details. They say whether she is what's called a bikran kanat or thayyiban. Bikran is someone who's a virgin, right? So she has never been married before, she has no experience of marriage before. Or thayyiban. Thayyiban is someone who's been married before. So two different types, bikran or thayyiban. So she might be, for example, baligha, and she might have been married before. She doesn't need a wali, and if she's a virgin, and as long as she's baligha, she fulfills these three conditions, if you like, 1, 2, 3, then she's fine. According to Imam Abu Hanifa or Abu Yusuf, free zahir riwayah. So this is according to Imam Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad. According to Imam Abu Yusuf, there's also a view of Imam Abu Yusuf, أنه لا ينعقد إلا بولي. There is a view that that it's not done except without a wali. وعن محمد ينعقد موقوفا, and there's a position from Imam Muhammad that if she was to do this, is mawquf. So in other words, you have to wait for the wali to come along and say, yeah, I'm happy for you to get married to this person, or I think this is a good marriage. Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, وقال مالك والشافعي رحمه الله تعالى, they say لا ينعقد النكاح بإبارة النساء أصلا, it doesn't happen at all. So they say it's just not valid at all. The reason they say aslan is, of course, before we have different positions in the Hanafi masters, that some say, well, it's valid, but it just needs a wali to sign it off. They say, well, it doesn't happen aslan, according to Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i. And they say, لأن النكاح يراد لمقاصد he, that nikah happens for a certain set of purposes. There's some purposes that you're trying to find in the contract of marriage, and therefore it's not valid according to them. This is batil. This is what they say according to them. وَالتَّفْوِيضُ إِلَيْهِنَ مُخِلٌّ بِهَا, like to give her the authority to get herself married off, creates problems in this maqasid that they're trying to achieve. And these maqasid are various things according to the ulama. But for us, we simply say, well, she's a free person, she can get married. There's no need to place undue hardship upon her according to our ulama. Imam Muhammad says, يَرْتَعْ فِي الْخَلَى بِإِجَازَةِ الْوَلِي. But this, once a wali gives permission, then there's no problem according to Imam Muhammad. Okay, so this is Hanafi position. Broadly speaking, she can get married. She can marry herself of a baligha, woman who's reached the age of puberty. She has aqila, she's baligha, she's hur, she can get married. وَوَجْهُ الْجَوَازِ, we give the permission that she has أنها تصرفت في خالص حقها. She has rights to do this. This is her right, and nobody can sort of prevent her from fulfilling this right that's due to her. وهي من أهله, and she's a free woman. So why are we making it difficult for her? لكونها عاقلة مميزة. She has aqila, she's intellectually sound, she's able to differentiate between what's good and bad for her. So there's no reason for this. And then they give, as the Hanafis always do, they always look at other examples. So I remember in the Hanafi school, there's this idea of the law has to be law internally consistent. Yeah, so they say, well, if you look at other places in the chapters of fiqh, for example, when it comes to buying and selling, she can do whatever she wants. So وَلَهَا اختيار الأزواج, she can choose a husband for herself. وإنما يطالب التزويج. So we say, well, the only reason we ask for a wali, كي لا تنسب إلى الوقاحة, so that it's not seen as sort of, discourteous or bad manners, or it's not seen so seen as something bad. But in of itself, legally, it's valid. Okay, then they move on to another discussion. ثم في ظاهر الرواية, there's a discussion in ظاهر الرواية. لا فرق بين الكفر والغير الكفر. There's no difference between a kufr and غير الكفر. In other words, there seems to be this view that it doesn't matter if it's a person that's of her social status as same as her or not same as her, as long as she has complete wilaya, she can get married to whoever she wishes. However, there is a concern that because she's getting married to someone, and there's a concern that that person and the family that she's getting married into, she should fit into them. This idea of fitting into into a new family, the saghira, and she's a young girl, she needs it. So لكن للولي الاعتراض في غير الكفر. So if she was to get married to someone who's out of an inappropriate social status, the wali can go to the qadi and say, look, I don't think this is in the best interest of the girl. I think this might be harmful for her. And the wali can do that, and the qadi can break it off. وعن أبي حنيفة وأبي يوسف أنه لا يجوز في غير الكفر. They say that Abu Hanifa and Abu Yusuf say it's not permissible to do this in غير الكفر. Okay. لأنه, so in other words, the nikah shouldn't be doing this. لأنه كم من واقع لا يرفع ويروى رجوع محمد إلى قولهما, and Muhammad takes this position to them. He returns back to them. So in essence, a free woman who's aqila, who's baligha, saghira, she's no longer saghira, she can make her own decisions, she can get married herself off. But there seems to be a question around what if she gets married to someone who is not of the same social standing, and so you can object to that. Alright, I will move on inshallah in the next video to the next discussion, number 2, mas'ala here. I hope you find that useful. Any questions, feedback, do let me know. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.